All right, let me pull you in right from the first second, because if you're over 65 or you love someone who is, what I'm about to share can literally change how your body feels every single day. Imagine this for a moment. You're doing what you think is healthy. You're snacking on nuts because everyone says nuts are good for you. But quietly, without you realizing it, a few of those nuts could be fueling inflammation, stiffening your joints, slowing your digestion, and even putting extra stress on your heart. And at the exact same time, there are a few simple nuts that, if you eat them daily, can support your brain, protect your bones, steady your blood sugar, and help you feel stronger and more energetic well into your 70s and 80s. Most people never learn this difference. Today, you will. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 4 nuts you should stop touching after 65, and which 4 you should make part of your daily routine if you actually want to age well, not just age longer. Now, let me say this clearly before we go any further. Nuts are not evil. They're powerful foods, but power cuts both ways. As we age, our digestion changes, our gut becomes more sensitive, our ability to handle certain fats shifts, and our inflammation threshold gets much lower. Something that didn't bother you at 35 can absolutely wreck you at 65. That's why blanket advice like just eat more nuts can actually backfire for older adults. What matters now is the type of nut, the quantity, and how your body responds to it. Let's talk first about the nuts you need to be very careful with, because these are the ones that most people think are healthy. But after 65, they often do more harm than good. The first nut you should seriously reconsider touching is peanuts. And yes, I know this one surprises a lot of people. Technically, peanuts aren't even nuts, they're legumes, and that matters. Peanuts are one of the most common sources of mold toxins called aflatoxins. Even high-quality peanuts can contain traces, and as we age, our liver becomes less efficient at detoxifying these compounds. That means what your body could handle decades ago may now quietly accumulate and cause problems. Peanuts are also very high in omega-6 fats. Omega-6 fats aren't bad on their own, but the modern diet already has way too many of them. When omega-6 outweighs omega-3, inflammation rises. And inflammation after 65 shows up as joint pain, brain fog, high blood pressure, and slower recovery. On top of that, peanuts can be very irritating to the gut lining, especially for people with leaky gut, acid reflux, or sensitive digestion, which is extremely common in older adults. If you notice bloating, heaviness, or fatigue after eating peanuts or peanut butter, that's your body asking you to stop. The second nut you should limit or avoid is cashews. Cashews are creamy, tasty, and very popular, but they come with a hidden issue. Cashews are relatively high in carbohydrates compared to other nuts. After 65, blood sugar control becomes more fragile, even if you're not diabetic. Spikes and crashes in blood sugar don't just affect energy. They affect memory, balance, and mood. Cashews can also be difficult to digest because they contain compounds that irritate the gut when eaten in larger amounts. Many older adults notice that cashews leave them feeling sluggish or foggy, and that's not a coincidence. They're also easy to overeat, which means calories add up fast without giving your body the minerals it truly needs at this stage of life. The third nut that causes problems for many people over 65 is pine nuts. Pine nuts are often praised for being light and healthy, but they're extremely high in omega-6 fats. Again, that inflammation issue comes back into the picture. There's also something called pine nut syndrome, where people experience a persistent bitter or metallic taste in their mouth for days or even weeks after eating them. This happens more frequently in older adults, and while it's not dangerous, it's incredibly unpleasant and a sign that your body is not handling these compounds well. If your sense of taste is already changing with age, pine nuts can make eating less enjoyable overall. The fourth nut you should think twice about is Brazil nuts, and this one is all about quantity. Brazil nuts are loaded with selenium, which sounds like a good thing, and in small amounts it is, but selenium builds up quickly in the body. After 65, excess selenium can lead to symptoms like fatigue, hair thinning, brittle nails, digestive upset, and even nerve issues. Eating Brazil nuts daily or in large amounts can easily push you into excess without you realizing it. This is one of those foods where more is absolutely not better, especially later in life. Now, here's the good news, because this is where things get exciting. There are nuts that your body actually loves as you age. These are the nuts that support your brain, your heart, your bones, and your muscles. And when eaten in the right amounts, they can make you feel steadier, sharper, and stronger. Let's start with the first nut you should seriously consider eating daily: walnuts. Walnuts are one of the best nuts for people over 65, and here's why. They're rich in plant-based omega-3 fats, which help calm inflammation rather than fuel it. Omega-3s support brain health, memory, and mood, and they're especially important as the brain ages. Walnuts also support heart health by improving cholesterol balance and supporting blood vessel function. Many people notice that when they eat walnuts regularly, their joints feel less stiff and their mind feels clearer. They're also softer than many other nuts, which makes them easier to chew and digest, a small detail that matters a lot as we get older. The second nut you should eat daily is almonds. Almonds are incredible for bone health, and this is crucial after 65. They're rich in magnesium, calcium, and vitamin E, all of which support strong bones and muscles. Magnesium in particular helps prevent cramps, supports nerve function, and even improves sleep quality. Almonds also help stabilize blood sugar, which means more consistent energy throughout the day and fewer crashes. If you're worried about chewing, soaking almonds overnight makes them softer and much easier to digest while also improving mineral absorption. The third nut that deserves a daily place in your routine is pistachios. Pistachios are one of the best nuts for circulation and eye health. They contain antioxidants that support vision, which is something many people start worrying about after 65. They're also lower in calories than many other nuts, so you get benefits without overloading your system. Pistachios support healthy gut bacteria as well, which is huge because gut health affects immunity, mood, and inflammation. When your gut is happy, everything works better. The fourth nut you should eat regularly is macadamia nuts. Macadamias are often overlooked, but they're fantastic for older adults. They're high in monounsaturated fats, the same type of fats found in olive oil, which support heart health and reduce inflammation. Macadamia nuts are very low in omega-6 fats compared to most other nuts, making them much easier on the aging body. They're also naturally softer and easier to chew, which again makes a big difference as we age. Now let me share something very important, because even the best nuts can cause problems if you eat them the wrong way. Portion size matters more after 65 than ever before. Your metabolism is slower, your digestion is more sensitive, and your calorie needs are lower. A small handful of nuts is plenty. You don't need bowls and bowls. Eating nuts slowly, chewing well, and paying attention to how your body feels afterward is one of the simplest ways to avoid issues. Timing also matters. Nuts are best eaten earlier in the day or with meals. Eating large amounts of nuts late at night can interfere with digestion and sleep, especially for older adults. Pairing nuts with protein or vegetables helps slow digestion and keeps blood sugar stable. Another powerful tip is preparation. Raw nuts are not always the best choice for older digestion. Soaking nuts for several hours or overnight reduces compounds that can irritate the gut and block mineral absorption. Lightly roasting nuts can also make them easier to digest as long as you avoid burning them or adding unhealthy oils. Now let me speak directly to you for a moment. Aging doesn't mean giving up enjoyment. It doesn't mean food becomes boring or restrictive. It means food becomes strategic. When you choose foods that support your body instead of fighting it, everything changes. You wake up with less stiffness, your mind feels clearer, your energy lasts longer into the day, and nuts, when chosen wisely, can be one of the easiest upgrades you make to your daily routine. if you've been eating the wrong nuts and wondering why your joints ache, your digestion feels off, or your energy dips, this could be a missing piece of the puzzle. And if you start adding the right nuts consistently, you may be surprised how quickly your body responds. So here's what I want you to do after this video. Take a look at your pantry. Be honest with yourself. Which nuts are you reaching for out of habit, not because they truly serve you? And which of the supportive nuts can you start including in small, regular amounts? You don't need perfection. You just need better choices most of the time. If this information helped you, make sure you support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and sharing this with someone you care about who's over 65. Most people have no idea that something as simple as the wrong nut can quietly work against them. And now you do. Stay with me on this channel because we're going to keep breaking down aging in a way that actually makes sense, using simple, practical changes that help you feel better, not overwhelmed. Your body is still listening to what you feed it. Make sure the message you're sending is a good one. When most people think about nuts, they only think about the type of nut, whether it's almonds or walnuts or peanuts. But almost nobody talks about preparation and timing, and this is where everything changes, especially after 65. Because at this stage of life, your body doesn't react to food the way it used to. Your stomach acid is lower, your digestive enzymes are weaker, your gut lining is more sensitive, and your ability to extract minerals from food is not as strong as it once was. That means a nut that could be nourishing in one form can become irritating, inflammatory, or even exhausting to your system in another form. This is why so many older adults say things like, nuts don't agree with me anymore, or I feel bloated when I eat nuts, or they sit heavy in my stomach, when it's rarely the nut itself, it's how and when it's being eaten. Let's start with soaking, because this is one of the oldest food preparation methods in human history, and yet it's almost completely ignored today. Nuts naturally contain compounds like phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors. These compounds exist to protect the seed in nature, but inside the human body, especially an aging one, they can block the absorption of minerals like magnesium, calcium, zinc, and iron. These minerals are not optional after 65. Magnesium affects muscle relaxation, heart rhythm, sleep, and nerve function. Calcium affects bone strength and balance. Zinc supports immunity and wound healing. When nuts are eaten dry and raw, these compounds can make digestion harder and leave you feeling heavy, tired, or gassy. Soaking nuts in water for several hours or overnight begins to break down these inhibitors. It's almost like pre-digesting the nut for your body. The texture becomes softer, the nutrients become more available, and the digestive workload drops significantly. For an older digestive system, this is a massive relief. Soaking also changes how nuts interact with your blood sugar. Dry nuts are dense and compact. When soaked, they slow digestion in a more balanced way. This means fewer spikes and crashes, which is critical after 65 because blood sugar swings affect more than just energy. They affect balance, mood, memory, and even the risk of dizziness and falls. When blood sugar is stable, the brain receives a steady supply of fuel, muscles respond more reliably, and inflammation stays lower. This is one of the reasons some people feel calmer and more focused after switching to soaked nuts without changing the type or amount. Now let's talk about roasting, because this is where many people go wrong. Roasting nuts isn't inherently bad. In fact, light roasting can make nuts easier to digest for many older adults by breaking down tough fibers. The problem comes from high heat, industrial oils, and long shelf storage. Nuts roasted in vegetable oils like soybean or canola oil become inflammatory, especially for aging joints and arteries. High heat also damages delicate fats, turning something supportive into something that stresses the liver. When nuts are lightly dry roasted at low temperatures or gently roasted at home, the structure changes in a way that can actually improve digestion without destroying nutrients. This matters because digestion is not just about comfort. Poor digestion after 65 leads to nutrient deficiencies, muscle weakness, and immune suppression. even if calorie intake looks fine on paper. Another preparation detail that rarely gets attention is chewing. This sounds simple, but it's critical. As we age, dental issues, jaw strength, and saliva production all change. Saliva contains enzymes that start digestion in the mouth. When nuts are swallowed too quickly or not chewed thoroughly, they hit the stomach as dense, hard particles that are much harder to break down. This increases fermentation in the gut, leading to bloating and discomfort. Soaking nuts naturally softens them, which encourages slower eating and better chewing. This alone can turn nuts from something that causes discomfort into something that feels nourishing and light. Now let's shift into timing, because timing can be just as powerful as preparation. Eating nuts late at night is one of the most common mistakes older adults make, especially as a snack. Nuts are energy dense. They contain fats that take time to digest. When eaten too close to bedtime, they can interfere with sleep by keeping the digestive system active when the body should be shifting into repair mode. Poor sleep after 65 doesn't just lead to fatigue the next day, it increases inflammation, raises blood pressure, and worsens insulin resistance. When nuts are eaten earlier in the day, especially with breakfast or lunch, the body has time to process those fats efficiently. This supports steady energy rather than nighttime restlessness. Timing also affects how nuts interact with medications, which is extremely important for older adults. Many people over 65 take medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, or thyroid function. Eating large amounts of nuts at the wrong time can interfere with absorption or amplify side effects. For example, nuts high in fiber and fat can slow the absorption of certain medications, making them less predictable. When nuts are eaten consistently at the same time each day, preferably away from medication windows, the body adapts more smoothly. This consistency reduces digestive stress and improves overall tolerance. Another key aspect of timing is whether nuts are eaten alone or combined with other foods. Eating nuts on an empty stomach can be irritating for some older adults, especially those with low stomach acid or sensitive digestion. This can lead to nausea or discomfort that people mistakenly blame on the nut itself. When nuts are eaten with protein or vegetables, digestion becomes more balanced. Protein stimulates digestive enzymes. Vegetables provide fiber and water, which help move fats through the digestive tract smoothly. This combination reduces heaviness and supports better nutrient absorption. This is why adding a small handful of nuts to a meal often feels better than eating them as a standalone snack. Let's talk about quantity in the context of preparation and timing, because these three factors work together. A small amount of well-prepared nuts eaten at the right time can be deeply nourishing. A large amount of poorly prepared nuts eaten at the wrong time can feel exhausting. After 65, the margin for error is smaller. Your body gives feedback more quickly. Heaviness, fatigue, joint stiffness, or digestive discomfort are not random. They are signals. When nuts are soaked, lightly prepared, and eaten earlier in the day in modest amounts, those signals often disappear. There's also a mental and emotional side to this that doesn't get discussed enough. When digestion is smoother, energy is steadier, and inflammation is lower, people feel more confident in their bodies. They trust their hunger signals more. They stop fearing food. This psychological ease matters deeply as we age, because stress itself increases inflammation and weakens immunity. Preparation methods like soaking are not just physical tools. They're a way of working with your body instead of fighting it. Another overlooked factor is gut bacteria. After 65, the diversity of gut bacteria tends to decline. Nuts can either help or hurt this process depending on preparation. Poorly digested nuts feed gas-producing bacteria, leading to bloating and discomfort. Well-prepared nuts feed beneficial bacteria that support immunity, mood, and even bone health. Soaking reduces fermentable compounds that cause problems while preserving fibers that nourish the gut. This is one of the reasons some people feel a noticeable improvement in digestion within days of changing preparation methods. Timing also affects inflammation cycles. The body has natural rhythms. In the morning and early afternoon, digestion and metabolism are more active. In the evening, the body shifts toward repair and detoxification. Eating heavy foods like nuts late disrupts this rhythm. When nuts are aligned with the body's natural metabolic window, they support rather than interfere with healing processes. This alignment becomes more important with age because the body's ability to compensate for disruption declines. It's also worth talking about hydration in relation to nut consumption. Nuts are dry foods. Eating them without adequate hydration can contribute to constipation, which is already a common issue after 65. Soaking nuts increases their water content, making them gentler on the digestive tract. Eating nuts with meals that include fluids or hydrating vegetables also helps maintain regularity. This isn't just about comfort. Regular digestion affects toxin elimination, hormone balance, and even joint health. Many people assume that raw is always better, but raw doesn't always mean digestible. For older adults, digestibility often matters more than theoretical nutrient content. A nutrient your body can't absorb is not a nutrient at all. Preparation bridges that gap. It turns potential nutrition into usable fuel. This shift in thinking is essential after 65, when efficiency matters more than abundance. Another subtle but powerful benefit of proper preparation and timing is reduced food fear. When people experience discomfort from nuts, they often eliminate them entirely, missing out on their benefits. Learning how to prepare and time nuts correctly restores confidence and flexibility in eating. This supports long-term dietary consistency, which is far more important than perfection. As the body ages, resilience becomes the goal, not pushing harder, but supporting smarter. Soaking, gentle, roasting, mindful chewing, appropriate timing, and modest portions are not restrictions. They are adaptations. They reflect an understanding that the body has different needs now, and honoring those needs leads to better outcomes. When nuts are prepared with intention, they stop being a digestive challenge and start becoming a source of steady energy. They support muscle maintenance by providing healthy fats that protect muscle tissue. They support the brain by delivering fats in a form that doesn't trigger inflammation. They support the heart by reducing oxidative stress instead of adding to it. Even joint health is influenced by preparation and timing. Inflammation triggered in the gut often shows up in the joints. When nuts are poorly digested, they can contribute to this cycle. When they're well prepared, they can actually help calm it. This gut-joint connection becomes stronger with age, making digestive choices increasingly important. There's also a practical side. Soaked nuts taste different. Many people find them creamier, milder, and easier to enjoy. This can change eating behavior naturally, leading to slower consumption and better satisfaction with smaller amounts. This supports weight stability, which becomes more challenging after 65. All of this comes down to one core idea. Food is not just what you eat, it's how your body experiences it. Preparation and timing shape that experience. They determine whether nuts act as stressors or supporters. They decide whether nutrients pass through unused or are absorbed and applied where they're needed most. When older adults feel empowered to adjust preparation rather than eliminate foods, they maintain a richer, more varied diet. This variety supports micronutrient intake, gut diversity, and overall resilience. It keeps eating enjoyable rather than restrictive, which has a profound impact on long-term health. The transformation from harmful to healing doesn't require exotic foods or complicated protocols. It requires attention, a willingness to slow down, to soak, to choose timing wisely, and to listen to the body's responses. These small shifts accumulate into noticeable differences in energy, comfort, and confidence. As digestion improves, inflammation lowers. As inflammation lowers, movement becomes easier. As movement becomes easier, independence increases. This cascade begins with simple, practical choices around food preparation and timing. Nuts are a perfect example of this principle because they sit at the intersection of nutrition and digestion. They can either strain the system or support it. The difference lies not in the nut itself, but in how it's introduced into the body. When you respect the changing physiology of aging, food stops being a battle. It becomes a partnership. Preparation methods like soaking and thoughtful timing align food with the body's natural rhythms and capacities, allowing nourishment to happen without resistance, without discomfort, without unnecessary stress, turning something that once caused issues into something that quietly supports strength, clarity, and stability day after day. So here's what I want you to do after this video. Take a look at your pantry. Be honest with yourself. Which nuts are you reaching for out of habit, not because they truly serve you? And which of the supportive nuts can you start including in small, regular amounts? You don't need perfection. You just need better choices most of the time. If this information helped you, make sure you support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and sharing this with someone you care about who's over 65. Most people have no idea that something as simple as the wrong nut can quietly work against them. And now you do. Stay with me on this channel because we're going to keep breaking down aging in a way that actually makes sense, using simple, practical changes that help you feel better, not overwhelmed. Your body is still listening to what you feed it. Make sure the message you're sending is a good one.